All right, so this is part 2 of Sunbonnet Sue. Before we get started, I want to tell you guys that I am a little quiet in this video. Jalen is laying next to me on the couch asleep, and we had just gotten back from taking her to the emergency room. She's okay, everything was fine, but so she was pretty beat, so I still needed to record, but I was going to just, be quiet about it. And so yeah, we've got the bonnet done from part 1, and in part 2, we are going to work the dress, her leg, her foot, her arm, her little hand, put it all together and be done with her, okay? So get your dress color, your sleeve, and your little ruffle color. We're going to need our flesh, and then of course that brown for our little shoe, and that's it. So get your supplies together and let's get started. All right, so to get started, I am going to get my dress color, which I'm going to go for red. Go ahead and get a slip knot on your hook. And I'm going to go ahead and just give you a little rundown of what we're going to do. We are going to, with my bonnet, the opening, the brim, facing to the left, I'm going to turn it upside down, and we're going to attach to the side right here. We're going to work 9 single crochet down one side, chain 1, jump to the other, 9 single crochet down this side, chain 1, slip stitch to the first, okay? And with these single crochets, I want to somewhat have them to where the single crochets are in the back loop. So this side, I mean, you can see we could get right into those back loops. But then when we get to down here, it's going to be a little bit, well, on this side, it's going to be a little bit harder to try to get it to be more of a, to the inside of the bonnet instead of on the outside. So go ahead and flip your bonnet over. Okay. So we want 9 single crochet down this side. So I'm just going to attach right in here to the back loop with a slip stitch, chain 1, and go right back in there with a single. And I will have to work 2 singles into a stitch or 2 just to get those 9. So I have 1. I'm going to go into the next 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go 5 into the same stitch as 4. So there's 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. 7, 8, 9. So when I hold that, you can see where the dress is going to start, and it starts right at that little curve on the bonnet at the bottom. That's perfect. All right, so now I'm going to make sure that's 9. Let's see. There's 1. Nope, that's a slip stitch. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Chain 1. I'm going to turn that, and I'm going to come right over to the corresponding stitch, which is right there. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. Back loop, 1. I'm going to go ahead and do 3 and 4 in this one. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, okay. I can get the rest of them in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's do 7. I'm I'm gonna go through here. There's 8, and then just shove my hook in there and get 9. All right, I'm gonna pull that up and lay it down. That looks nice. Perfect. All right, so now I'm going to chain 1, and we are going to slip stitch to that first single crochet. I should have marked that, but this is not the single, that's the chain 1. We are right there. And if you need to count to make sure, go ahead and double count. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then there's 9. All right, so that is probably the hardest part, just trying to get those nice and pretty and straight and even. It's looking cute. I'm glad I went with red. It's looking good. All right, I'm gonna pause this and I'll be right back. All right, sorry about that odd little break right there. Okay, so we just chain 1, slip stitch to our first single, and we should have 18 single crochet around, okay? And then the 2 chain 1s. All right, so to move on to round 2, we're gonna chain 1. Oh, I already did chain 1. Sorry. Chain 1 right there, and we are gonna double crochet right back in to the same single that we just slip stitched into, okay? And now we're gonna double into each of the singles until that chain 1 space. So that should be a total of 9 single crochet right here. Right there. And one more. Sorry, I got something in my throat. Right there. Okay, so now into that chain 1 space, we're going to work a double, chain 1, and a double. So just right into that hole right here. Double, chain 1, double. And now double into each of the singles until the next chain 1 space. Oh, there, got it. And the last one. All right, now into your chain 1 space, just this little hole right there, we're going to work our double, chain 1, double, and perfect timing for a train. Let me hurry up and get this double done. Okay, he's gone. All right, so I worked the double, chain 1, the double into that chain 1 space. So now we're going to slip stitch to that very first double crochet. And there you go. So when we lay our piece down, the chain 1 on each side, let me get, are what makes the fold. Just like that. Okay, so now what I would want you guys to do is for round 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. I want you to repeat the same thing. Slip stitch to the first double, chain 1, double right back into that double, double into each double crochet until your chain 1 space. Into your chain 1 space, you work the double, chain 1, double, double into the very next double crochet, don't get lost in there. Double into each double to the next chain 1 space, double, chain 1, double into the chain 1 space, double into each double until the first double, slip stitch, chain 1, do it again. So repeat that for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And at the end of round 9, just slip stitch to your first double crochet, okay? And then stop there, okay? and come back, and we will move on to the round 10. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and work my 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I will be right back. Okay, so I just finished round 9. Well, I didn't finish it yet. Got to work the last double crochet, and I'm going to slip stitch to the first, pull up a loop, and I'm going to stop. So I do want to tell you guys that my my dress right now is a lot stiffer than my other Sunbonnet suits I have made. It's the yarn. It's because it's just the Red Heart Super Saver. What I will probably end up doing is hitting this with a little bit of steam just to get those stitches to lay exactly the way I want, nice and flat. You may not even have that problem. Like I said, mine is just my yarn that I used. Alright, so like I said, that was the end of round 9. Now I am going to stop and weave in this first end. And I'm just going to continue the tail, just continue it around to the other side of the dress. If we don't do it now, it'll be a pain in the butt to do later, which we kind of should have done it sooner, but no biggie. So I'm just going to go right through here, through these stitches. Make sure I didn't distort anything. I kind of got that stretched a bit, which I can probably use this tail to get that tighter again. You guys don't have to do this. This is just me finagling stuff. I got that a little tighter. Okay, now I'm going to cut that. Yeah, I pulled on that piece a little too hard whenever I was trying to get to the inside. That's all right. All right, so let's go on to round 10, and this is actually, I'm going to say the second to last row of our dress. The last row is actually going to be the little ruffle, but we can't work that until we have made the arm, attached the arm, made the leg, done all that. So this will be the last part, okay? All right, so row 10, we are going to start by chaining 3. And for this row, that is going to count as a treble crochet. And we are going to continue that. We're going to work a treble into the next 8 stitches. So we're into this one, so we're going to go to the next. 1. Wait a minute. Yeah. 2. I thought I lost my yarn over. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. So we should have the chain 3, which is 1 treble, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 stitches right here. A chain and 8 treble. Okay, so now we're going to double crochet into the next 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to half double crochet into the next 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we should be to that chain 1 space, and we are going to work a half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet into that chain 1 space, okay? So 1 half, chain 1, go right back in there, the half. I'm going to grab a pencil to mark off what row, or I mean what stitches we've worked. Okay, now we're going to half double into the next 3, or I'm sorry, 5, into the next 5. Half double into the next 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Double into the next 3. 1, 2, 3, and we are going to treble into the next 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, now we're going to double into the next 3. 1, 2, all right, double into 3. Okay, so now we're going to half double into the next 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, it should be to your chain 1 space. If you're not, like if you're 2 spaces or 1 space, just work a half double crochet. It's not going to hurt anything. All right, into the chain 1 space, we're going to work half double, chain 1, half double. And now we're going to double into the next 4. That was a half double. Half double into the next 4. After I said double, I thought, wait a minute. It's half doubles. There's 3 and 4. All right, now we're going to double into the next 3. And we're going to work a treble into that very last double. Okay, now we're going to slip stitch to the top of the chain 3. So we have our slip stitch right here. There's a chain 1, 2, 3. Go ahead and go right into the top of that chain 3. Just like that. All right, we're going to chain 1, pull up a loop, and fasten off. Oop, about dropped it. Pull that out. Just like that. And there is almost our dress done. I'm going to go ahead and weave in this end. And next, we are going to make, if I could keep my pencil from rolling off, we're going to make the arm. And I have to say, I'm not 100% sure yet what color I want to make my arm. Sorry, I'm trying to weave this in and talk at the same time. Because his arm, or not his arm, his outfit, he's gonna have a red shirt and then he'll have the blue overalls. So I don't know if I should make her sleeve blue to add the blue to her dress, because like this one has, you know, the yellow added to her dress that matches his overalls, and it matches her bonnet, but I don't want to put more brown into it, or that, not brown, but that tan color. So I think what I might do is go ahead and work a blue arm and then blue ruffle here to incorporate the blue from his overalls. I think that's a good idea. All right, I am going to show you that I got my ends weaved in. And you can see the seam is at the back. All right, I'm gonna get my little space right here cleaned up, and when I come back, we're gonna start the arm. So I'll be right back. Okay, so to start the sleeve or the arm, let me show you guys what we're going to do. So we start here and then work our way down, and then we'll fasten off, attach our skin color, and work a little hand. And then, so like I can tell, I think this may have been sewn to the dress. You can see that it almost looks like, or maybe it was glued, I don't know. But anyway, we're gonna sew this, or you can glue it, you don't have to sew it. We're gonna sew this down to the dress, and then you know, you can sew this down, or you can just leave it open. And you can see there's a little knot right here, and I think the reason she did that was so that it cupped the hand. See how the hand's got a little bit of a cup to it? I think that's why she did that. I'm not 100% sure, but I like it. I think it's cute. And there's a little bit of a cup to the shoulder right here. It's kind of hard to show you there. You can see it. So we're going to have that too. All right. So let's go ahead and get our tail. Now, if you do want to sew your sleeve on, I kind of go for a little extra long tail. But if you're not going to sew yours down, then I would just go for an average tail so you can weave in your ends. And, well, good grief, I'm all tangled up. Okay, so to get started, we're going to start with a chain of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to single crochet in the second chain from our hook. So right in there, single crochet, and now we're going to just single crochet in those next 2 chains. Actually, I just realized I lied to you. We're not starting here, we're starting here. We work our way this way and then we attach the hand. Sorry, I forgot all about that. All right, so that was row 1. So row 2, chain 1 and turn. We're just going to single crochet into the very first single and single into the next 2. just like that. Row 3, chain 1 and turn. We're going to do the exact same thing again, just single into the first, into the next, and into the last. Chain 1, turn. Row 4, single into the very first, 2 single into the next, and then single into that last single crochet. So now you should have 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so we're going to chain 1 and turn. Row 5, we're going to single crochet into each single across. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Chain 1 and turn. Row 6, we are going to work 2 single crochet into that very first single. So go right in there with 1 and 2. Now we're going to single crochet into the next 2 singles. And then into the last, we're going to work 2 single crochets, that is. I should have said, sorry. 2 single into that last single. So now we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Chain 1 and turn. So row 7, we're going to work 1 single crochet all the way across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Get my pencil. That was row 7. So row 8, chain 1 and turn. In row 8, we're going to work 2 single into the very first. 1, 2, single into the next 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Into the last, work 2 single crochet. 1, 2. So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Chain 1. That is not right. I didn't work 2 single crochet in my first one. Sorry about that. Pull that back out. Chain 1, 2 single crochet into that very first. 1, 2. Single crochet into the next 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 single crochet into that last. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's better. Alright, that was row 8. So chain 1 and turn. Row 9, we're going to single crochet into the very first, and then single into each single all the way across. Into that very last one is a bit of a pain. There we go. Alright, that was row 9. For row 10, chain 1 and turn, and we're going to single crochet into each single all the way across again. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so at the end of row 10, we're going to pull up a loop. Oh, wait a minute. I need to check my scribbles again. Okay, sorry about that. I was right the first time. We do chain 1 and turn. So for row 11, we're going to skip that very first single crochet, and we're going to single crochet right into the very next. So go into the next single, work a single, and now we're going to skip the next, single into the next, skip the next, single into the next. There. I don't want a huge gap between the singles. Okay, so skip the next, and into the very last, we're going to work a single crochet. So you can see how it cupped like that. Okay, so now we're going to chain 1 and turn. We're going to skip that very first single crochet, and we're going to single crochet into the next, skip the next, and into that very next stitch we're going to slip stitch, just like that. Chain 1, pull up a longer tail if you think you're going to need it for sewing, and then pull that tight, and there's our little cup sleeve. So where'd I put her? Oh, I like it. It doesn't look bad at all. Good deal. So right there is how that sleeve's gonna go. All right, I am going to pause because of course I ended up forgetting my flesh colored yarn, and I don't know where I sat it. I'll be right back, guys. Okay, after about 10 minutes, I finally realized, oh yeah, I put it back on my shelf and finally found it. So I've got my skin tone. So I'm gonna get a normal length of tail with the slip knot on my hook. And now I'm going to hold my arm, which I mean, it doesn't really matter. You can just pop the little puff part of the sleeve however you want to, but I like to work it to where I can see that the first remaining loop of the chain that I'm going to be working to, I can see is where the tail is coming from. So I'm going to attach right here with a slip stitch, pull that up, tighten that down, chain 1, go right back in there with a single, and then I'm going to single into the next remaining loop and the next remaining loops. So we want 3 single crochet right there. Okay, chain 1 and turn. We're going to single crochet into the very first single, 2 single crochet into the next single, and single crochet into that last single crochet, just like that. So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, which I know mine's a little hard to see, which that is not right. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Okay, 5, row 5, chain 1, turn. We're going to skip that first single crochet into the next. Skip the next single crochet into that last single. So we're down to 2. Make sure you get both loops of that last single. Chain 1 and turn. Skip that first single into the last single. We're going to slip stitch, chain 1, pull up a loop, and cut. Just like that. All right, now what I want you to do is get you a needle. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this tail and we're going to weave it through the legs of these singles to where it's on this side of the hand. So we have the tail coming from this side, and then this tail will be coming from this side. And then what we're going to do is tighten a little knot in the middle, give it just ever so slightly, pull it tight, and it should cause that hand to cup like that. Okay? So like I said, I'm going to take this tail, get it on my needle. I almost think I should get a smaller needle. I think it'll work. Alright, I'm just going to run it through the legs of these stitches, and I'm going to come out about right here. Right there. And don't pull it too tight. I don't want to distort where my hand starts on my sleeve. Looks nice. Okay, so now this is where it would come in handy to have a hand, an extra little hand. I'm just going to tie these together like I'm tying a shoestring, just ever so slightly. And then I'm going to tie another one to knot it. Get in there. I have to finagle it around a bit. And there it creates that little cuff. Well, or the cup, I mean, not cuff. Okay, so I am now just going to trim these little tails. I'm not going to weave these in. I'll probably, let me show you. I don't want to get that too close to that knot. Okay, what I'm probably going to do is put a little dollop of my fabric tack. Put a little dollop in there and glue that knot so it doesn't come out. But I'll do that once I get her all done. Alright, so let's attach. If you're gonna sew it on here, you don't have to sew it. You, like I said, you can glue it if you want. Totally doesn't matter. But I'm going to place it let me get this tail. Actually, no, I want this tail. So I'm going to put my hand inside her dress, hold everything up, and just place it where I want it. Now I noticed on, oops, I did not mean to do that. Anyway, I want to show you guys. Where's my other, here she is. So you can see the space between her sleeve and her bonnet, and then the space between my sleeve and bonnet. I've got a little more space than hers, but mine are a tad bit larger than hers. So I'm gonna let you guys decide where you want to put your arm. I kind of like mine with a little more space, but that's just me being picky. And I just realized this Sunbonnet Sue looks like Superman. So I'm going to go right like this. And all I'm going to do is just start going through stitches. Make sure I'm not going through both the sleeve or both sides of the dress. I'm swooping that to catch the red from this dress back into the sleeve. I think I've got the dress, I don't know. Yeah, I do. And then still trying to keep the shape. And you know, it probably wouldn't hurt to pin it, but I really don't want to. Every time I do that, I always stab myself like 15 times and it hurts. Trying to make sure I keep that shape and keep the position. And I can feel when I put the needle through the sleeve that it goes through the first layer of the dress, and then I can just pull it back a little bit so it's not going through the second layer of the dress. And I am going to go ahead and stop right here on the sleeve because I like the idea of her hand being able to move like that. If you don't want to, I totally understand that. I mean, you guys can go all the way around if you want to. But I'm going to go ahead and stop there on this side. So I'm going to take this tail to the inside of her dress and come out. Just like that. And then I'm going to take this tail and come right here and come back to the top. So I'm just going to run it right underneath there. Come out here. Make sure I still got my shape. Just like that. Man, I hope she doesn't look too much like Superman colors. I just realized I completely changed my method of sewing, but that's alright. Okay. 1 or 2 more stitches on the back. Get that nice and puffed out. And if you guys, I'll probably mention this in the intro to this video, but my daughter is asleep in the room next to me, like right next to me. So I'm not 100% meaning to be quiet, but on the other hand I am. She is not feeling so hot. Okay, right through the back. I'm going to call that done. Take that tail to the inside, just like that. Let's see how that looks. That looks good. Maybe give this a bit of a pull. Okay. I love it. Alright, so I'm just gonna cheat here. Oh, look at that. I didn't pull the tail all the way. Oops. Alright, I'm just going to tie this into a knot on the inside. And the reason that's kind of not a big deal is because, and I realized I was pulling that off camera, because the leg and the shoe actually closes the dress. It's worked on this side of the dress, then this side, and then it closes it. So that's why we got to do that arm first, because we can't get in here with the leg on. Alright, so let's get our piece back. So what I'm actually going to do is just leave this arm the way it is, but I am still going to add that little dollop of glue right there, so it has that nice cup to it. Alright, so now let's get our stuff together to make our leg. So we start with the flesh yarn again, and I am going to get reorganized here, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now I want to show you guys what we're going to do. So with the back of your Sunbonnet Sue facing up, so her little arms on the other side, turn her over, and we should see our seam right here. So if you look, what we have the treble right here. This is the chain 3 that counts as a treble. So I'm going to pinch that very first treble, and then come over here, and if you look right there is the last treble. So we have here and here, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 treble. We want to attach into the back loop only. This entire round, just this round of the leg is worked in the back loop. We're going to back loop, attach with a slip stitch into the treble that is right to the left. I shouldn't have said that. That is to the left. The very next stitch to treble to the left of that chain 3, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to single crochet across, chain 1, flip her over. We're going to find our 10 treble, and then attach into the same stitch on this side, which I'll do that with you guys. But let's go ahead and get started with your skin tone. Where is my, oh, all right. So like I said, the first treble right next to the left of the chain 3. Back loop, attach with a slip stitch, chain 1, and I'm going to pull that tail to the back and go right back in there with a single crochet. And now we're going to back loop, single crochet into the next 5 treble. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go ahead and chain 1, pull up a loop, and then let's stop for a second. So we have 2 unworked treble on this side, which is just the chain 3 and an actual treble. And we have 2 unworked treble on this side. So that's 5 worked into, 6, 7, nope, that's not right. No, there's 6 worked into, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we've got that chain 1. So we're going to flip our work. So like I said on the other side, we have 2 treble on each end of our trebles that we didn't work into. So 1, 2, 1, 2. So pinch those off, and we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I know right there is the back loop that we need to attach into. So I got 2 treble unworked right here. Ah, I dropped her. So we got our chain 1. We're going to come to this side, back loop, single crochet into that corresponding, I'll say, treble on this side of the dress. And now back loop treble or single into the next 5 treble. 2, 3, 4, 5. So we should have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good deal. All right, chain 1, and we're going to rotate, and we're going to slip stitch to that very first single crochet right there. Just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up a loop, and this tail is going to drive me insane. So I'm going to go ahead and weave in this tail. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I want to get it out of the way. Plus it makes it easier because later on it's not going to be so easy to get in here and weave that in. I'm just going to go through the legs of a few of them. Bring it back. Yeah, that'll be good. Right there. Slip stitch. Or, I'm sorry, chain 1 and cut it. Alright, so now to move on to round 2 of our leg. Oops, I just missed the big note at the bottom of my pattern. We do not join with a slip stitch. We are going to pull that slip stitch back out. Sorry about that. And we're going to go right back into that first single crochet with a single. And then mark it like that. Okay, sorry about that. Alright, so we just worked the first single crochet of round 2. And now we are going to single into each single until the chain 1. Alright, now at the chain 1 space, we're going to chain 1, skip over the chain 1, and single into that next single crochet. The reason we're doing that is because we're not going to increase the leg. The leg is going to stay the same. So just by chaining 1, skipping the chain 1, all it's doing is creating that seam without increasing the size of the leg. Okay, single crochet into each single until the next chain 1. One more right there, and we are going to chain 1, and that's technically the end of round 2. So to start round 3, we're going to do the exact same thing. Remove that stitch marker. Round 3 starts with a single into the very first single, just like that. And go ahead and mark it so we don't lose our spot. That's the first stitch of round 3. Alright, so round 3, we're going to do the same thing. Single into each single, chain 1, jump over that chain 1, single into each single until the next chain 1, jump over, and that's technically the end of your round. So when you remove your stitch marker, single crochet into the next, and that's going to start round 4. So what we want is, we just started round 3, we want round 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're going to do the same thing that we're been doing. Single into each single, chain 1, jump over that chain 1, single into each single until the next chain 1, chain 1. You're at the end of your row, that round. So go ahead and remove your stitch marker, work the first stitch of the next round, okay? So I just started round 3. So I'm going to finish round 3 and 4, 5, and 6, and at the end of round 6 I am going to come back and we will move on. So I'm going to finish 3, 4, 5, and 6, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've made it all the way around, and if you get lost, all you have to do is just fold it, squish it flat, and then look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chain 1s. Now it'll only be on one side. The end with our slip stitch, we haven't worked it yet. The chain 1 meaning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what do we got to do to end round 6 and to actually end our little leg is to chain 1, and then we're going to slip stitch to that first single. chain one, pull up a loop. And that is the end of our leg. And I'm just going to take this little tail, tuck it right in there. Nobody will know. Alright, we are going to start the little shoe. So I've got my dark brown yarn. Alright, so I got a slip knot on my hook. And we are going to start in the exact same single crochet we just fastened off in where we just slip stitched into, where we just fastened off right there. We're going right back in there. Back loop only. So you're going to have to scooch that slip knot over until you can see right there. There's the top of that single. I'm going to go right into the back loop with a slip stitch, chain one. I'm pull that tail tight, and then I am just going to tuck that right into the leg. Just like that. Alright, now we're going to go right back in there with a single crochet, back loop, and then we're going to back loop single crochet into each of the singles until we make it to the chain one space. So you can see right there's my chain one, back loop, back loop. Okay, now into that chain one space, we're going to work a single, chain one, single. Now I do recommend that you use another stitch marker, because we're going to have to use one stitch marker to mark the first stitch of the round, but use another one to mark that single crochet, or I'm sorry, that chain one, because I'm going to try to show you this on camera. I don't know if I can with this dark yarn, but it is very hard to get in there and get into that chain one space. How about we just do this? Pull that out. So all we have in that chain one space is one single crochet. Chain one, stop, put a stitch marker around that chain one, and go back into that chain one with your second single. So if you look, that tiny, not this hole that you're seeing right here, that's actually not the chain one. That's actually the single I bumped my camera. That's actually the last single crochet we worked. That chain one is a little bitty spot right underneath that yellow bar from the stitch marker. See it? So I highly recommend that you guys mark that single crochet, because it's going to throw off the shoe if we don't. Dang it, I didn't mean to bump that again. Alright, now we are going to back loop single crochet into the next single and into each of these singles until the next chain one space. One more. Okay, now we are going to chain one, and that's the end of row one. So for row two, we're going to single crochet right into that very next single. And then we're going to stop and mark that. That's the first stitch of round two. So round two, we're going to do the same thing again. But not back loop, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. We are going to single crochet into each single until we're back to that chain one space, which we have marked with the stitch marker. Now I'm just going to give it a tug, and I'm going to run my hook right through it. so I know that I'm into that chain 1 space. 1, chain 1, stop. Go ahead and just put that marker around that chain 1 and go right back in there. I'm just running my hook through there with a single. So that chain 1 space now has our single, chain 1, single. And now I'm going to single into the next single and then into each single until our next marked single crochet. So we have one more round of this and we are done with this. This is probably one of the harder parts of this pattern. Alright, so we chain 1 and that's the end of round 2. So for round 3 we're going to do the exact same thing. We chain 1 and jump over, single into the first single of round 3. Mark that as our first. Single into each of the singles till the chain 1 space. Alright, so the chain 1 space is a little easier to see this time. I'm going to go right in there, a single, chain 1. We don't need to mark that chain 1 because this is the last row of the shoe. Right back in there with a single. And then you got to look, don't miss that very first single crochet right here. Get right in there and mark that. One single into each. Alright, you can tell that we are at the end of the row. So we're going to chain 1 and then just slip stitch to the first single crochet of the round. Chain 1, pull up a loop, and cut. Get that back. And there, get this shaped right, is our boot, or our little shoe. Now on hers, we've just weaved in that end and then didn't sew it shut. And I did on one of these, yeah, on this one, I did sew it shut, and then on this one, I didn't. So it doesn't make a huge deal. I think all I'm going to do is just weave in that end and leave it open. There's not a difference, honestly, between sewing it and not sewing it. So I'm just going to open that, run that in here, and then bring it back through. Well, I'm going to continue it around. Just go through the legs of some singles. I should have used a smaller hook. That's okay. Just like that. Just cut that. And there is our little boot. So we are almost done. We have one more round, and that is the trim of the dress. So I'm going to flip her over, turn her upside down, and I'm going to go with my blue yarn on this. You guys can use whatever color you want to. And I'm going to get a slip knot on my hook, plenty of tail to weave in. And it doesn't matter where. Turn my page. We are going to attach into any of the unworked stitches. Don't go into the leg yet. Those stitches that the legs worked into, we're going to hold off on that. Just go into any of the stitches, doesn't matter where. Go right in, attach with a slip stitch, chain 1. pull that tail tight, single crochet right back into the same stitch that you attached into, chain 3, single into the next, chain 3, single into the next, and that's what you're going to repeat all the way around. The only difference is the stitches that the legs worked into, we're going to go into the remaining loops. So this will be, it'll be into the, you're going to single into the front loop, chain 3, single into the front loop, chain 3, single into the front loop, chain 3. Work that until the last treble that your legs worked into, chain 3, and then just continue with both loops until the next stitches of the leg, and then just work into the front loop only. And don't forget, into that top of that chain 3 right here, if you just grab that slip knot, pull it over a bit, you can see the loop right there of that chain. And if you can't see it, it's not a big deal. It's going to get covered anyway by the little trim that we're working. I wanted to say frill. The little frilly part of the dress. All right, so that is it. Go ahead and work your single, chain 3, single, chain 3, single, chain 3, and then just when you get to the stitches that the legs are worked into, you just work into the front loop, the remaining loop of the stitch. You can see the little ridge right here. That's your front loops. All right, so I'm going to let you guys work that all the way around, and I will meet you when we get back to the beginning. All right, I have repeated that around. I have one more stitch to work into, so I'm going to single, chain 3, and I'm going to go right into the same stitch I just singled into, and I'm going to work a slip stitch. Well, no, I'm not. I'm going to go into the next stitch, work a slip stitch, so the same one that we attached into. All right, slip stitch, chain 1, pull up a loop, and there we go. So I'm going to hide these ends in. I'll weave them in off camera. And I do want to say I've noticed that this tail wants to come right out, so I will weave that in. And yeah, I will be weaving that in. But that is it. That is Miss Sunbonnet Sue. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget, check out the description box, because overall Sam part 1 and 2 I'll have down there, and then just in case you're catching part 2 of Sunbonnet Sue instead of part 1, I'll go ahead and put that link in there too, okay? But there we go. And I have to say, when I look at it, like I hold it up and I look at it, the bonnet color is throwing me off a bit. I think I should have went for a darker color. That's alright. That's okay. Alright, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Like I said, don't forget to check out that description box for links to overall Sam. And hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't. And leave me a comment. Let me know what you guys thought. What you think of my little sets. And I will see you guys in the next one. This one's been a bit of a tough one to film. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.